I've been reading a lot of scary stories recently. So today we're going to switch it up and read some normal ones, I guess. While we're doing that, I want to finish up this big glass window in the cave underneath my base. And then after that, we're just going to go do some cave exploration and see if we can find anything good. The first story today is from r/TIFU. Time I messed up by accidentally learning my coworker's salary, and now I can't stop doing math during meetings. This happened 2 weeks ago, and it's been eating me alive. I work in an open office. My coworker Greg sits directly across from me. Our monitors face each other. I've never once looked at his screen on purpose. I want to make that clear because what happened was entirely an accident and also entirely his fault. Greg got up to go to the bathroom and left his screen unlocked. Normal. People do this. I don't care, but he left the PDF open and it was zoomed to like 400%. I don't know why anyone would zoom a PDF to 400%, but Greg did, and because of that, I could read it from 4 feet away without even trying. It was his offer letter, from when he was hired, with his salary in 48-point font. He makes $31,000 more than me. We have the same title, same team. He started 8 months after me. I trained him. I trained the man who makes $31,000 more than me. I showed him how to use our project management tool. I walked him through the client onboarding process. I sat with him for 2 hours explaining our filing system, which honestly, I didn't even fully understand, but I pretended I did because I was his mentor. And he makes $31K more than me. I can't stop doing math now. Every meeting we're in together, I'm calculating. Okay, this meeting is 1 hour. He's making X per hour. I'm making Y per hour. The difference between us sitting in this same meeting, listening to the same person talk about Q3 projections, is $14.90. I'm losing $14.90 of relative value every hour I sit next to Greg. I've started a spreadsheet. I know this is unhinged. The spreadsheet has columns. Honestly, so far in this story, I'm feeling like this guy needs to stay in his own lane. Like, stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Worry about what you're doing. Maybe there's a reason why you're not making that much. The worst part is Greg is good at his job. He's not some fail son coasting on nepotism. He's competent. He's pleasant. He brings in those little stroopwafel cookies for the office on Fridays. He's never done a single thing wrong to me. This man is my friend. I went to his birthday dinner last month. I bought him a gift with my lesser salary. I looked up his job posting from when he was hired. It listed the salary range. The range starts at what I make and went up to what he makes. So technically, we're both in range. I'm just at the bottom and he's at the top. Same range, same title, different ends. Like two people on the same bus, except he's in first class and I'm sitting on the wheel. I know I should negotiate. I know I should talk to my manager. I know the mature thing to do is to advocate for myself. But instead, I've been silently tracking the cumulative salary gap between me and Greg in a Google sheet that I have named Greg Data. And password protected, even though nobody would ever want to look at it. We're at $6,100 since I found out. 14 working days. I'll stop tracking it when I get a raise or when I lose my mind. And honestly, at this point, it's a coin flip. Greg just offered me a stroopwafel. I took it. It was delicious. That makes it worse somehow. Okay, if we can learn anything from this story, it's to not worry about the Gregs in our life. To worry about what we're doing, and maybe wonder why Greg makes so much more money than us. If someone brought me a stroopwafel, I'd want to pay them. The next Reddit post is from r/true off my chest, from user capital Mark 1897. I saw a friend in the market, and I can't stop thinking about how she greeted me. The other day, my husband and I, 57 female, walked into the supermarket. In there, in the produce section, I saw a friend who I hadn't run into for years. We know each other in a professional capacity more than a personal one, but we get on very well, even though we've never socialized outside of work. So I see her standing there, and I'm so happy. I exclaim, "Is that Dinah Pisciotti?" Not real name. With a huge smile. She turns around, and it takes just a moment for her to register my face, and then she comes in. I thought we were going to do a friendly hug and a little squeal of delight, but no. She grabs my shoulder and pulls me into a hug. Fully pulls me in and hugs me with a huge smile and a huge embrace and then pulls away laughing and smiling, and then pulls me in a second time. I don't think I've ever been hugged like this in my life. I've never been surrounded by such genuine joy and happiness to be seen. It was completely sincere and filled with joy. We stood there for a minute catching up, introducing her to my husband, excited small talk, and left with plans to meet for lunch, which we have scheduled for next week. I can't stop thinking about that hug. Again, no one has ever done this for me. Not my parents, sibling, husband, other friends, no one. It felt like pure acceptance and happiness to be seen, like a long-lost family member. It was wonderful. Well, there you go. Now you're making a friend out of this person that obviously you should have in your life. Because anyone who brings positivity and happiness to you like that, you should definitely keep around. The next story today is from r/stories from user Claudine DeCullum. I've been stealing my neighbor's Wi-Fi for 6 months, and then they renamed it after me. It started when my internet died during a Zoom meeting. I was presenting quarterly reports, and suddenly, frozen screen, panic mode. I clicked on the Wi-Fi icon on my laptop and saw all these networks. Pretty fly for a Wi-Fi. No lock symbol next to it. I clicked it, and it connected right away. I figured anyone who names their Wi-Fi that has to be pretty chill. The meeting went fine. I meant to call my provider that afternoon, but I forgot. And their internet was actually faster than mine ever was. YouTube videos started instantly, no buffering wheel. My old connection always had that annoying delay. Weeks went by, then months. Every morning my laptop just connected automatically. I'd see that network name and smile. Whoever this neighbor was, they had good taste in puns. Last week, I was checking my phone at the coffee shop when I noticed the Wi-Fi list. Pretty fly for a Wi-Fi was gone. Instead, oh hi, Coffee Cat 99. I nearly dropped my latte. Coffee Cat 99. That's what I use on some games, chats, and so on. My stomach did this weird thing. How could they possibly know that was me? I don't understand any of this computer stuff, but can Wi-Fi track who you are? Can they see my screen? Oh God, can they see which apartment the signal goes to? The worst part is, they're clearly still offering it. Oh hi, like oh hi, specifically to Coffee Cat 99. Which means they know it's me, and they're fine with it. But also means they've been able to see what exactly? I don't even know which neighbor it is. Could be anyone in the building. The signal's strong enough from multiple floors. I called my internet company the same day. Turns out my service had never been canceled. Just some wire issue they forgot to fix. It's working again now, but every time I open my laptop, I see oh hi Coffee Cat 99 in the network list. Yesterday, I left nice coffee beans outside every door on my floor with sticky notes from a grateful neighbor. If they figured out I'm Coffee Cat 99, they'll probably just figure out the coffee is for me. If not, at least everyone gets free coffee. I still have no idea how they knew. Part of me wants to Google it, but honestly, they could have just turned on a password any time in those 6 months. They didn't. This morning I saw oh hi Coffee Cat 99 flash on my screen again when I opened my laptop. This time, I just smiled. You know, Coffee Cat 99 could have just kept mooching and never said anything, but instead they were nice and got coffee beans for all their neighbors, just, to maybe try to weed out who it was. Yeah, wholesome story, guys. I liked it. Next up is also from r/stories from user Icy Combination. I've been renting my neighbor's dog for $20 a week, so I don't look like a creep when I come home at 3 a.m. What kind of title is that? I'm 28, and because of my job, I usually get home around 2 or 3 in the morning. My neighborhood is one of those too quiet places where everyone knows everyone's car. After a few weeks of walking from my car to the front door in the pitch black, I noticed the curtains in the house across the street twitching every single night. I realized I had become the suspicious character of the block. To fix this, I made a weird deal with my neighbor, an older guy who has a high-energy golden retriever. For $20 a week, I rent his dog for a 15-minute walk the moment I get home. Now, instead of being the creepy guy coming home at 3 a.m., I'm the dedicated local hero who helps a senior citizen with his dog. The neighborhood group chat went from "Who is this guy?" to "God bless that young man's soul." The only problem, the dog has now adjusted his internal clock. My neighbor told me the dog starts sitting by the front door at 2:50 a.m. every night, wagging his tail and whining. His wife now thinks the dog is psychic and can sense my car from 3 miles away. Well, sounds like you have now made a lifelong friend of a golden retriever. This next one's from r/stories. It's from user mass-turned-damsel. It's titled An Ozzy Story. Here's my Ozzy Osbourne story. When my younger brother was in college in Claremont, California, I took a job in Burbank and needed to look at apartments, so I flew into town and borrowed his car. In return for borrowing his car, I agreed to take him and his friend to the beach. We went to look at a place up in Stevenson Ranch that seemed reasonable, and I signed a lease. There was some minor catching on the way back from signing the lease. It did take a frustratingly long time to complete, all the way to the gas station to fill up. I slammed the door in mock aggravation, started to fill up, and then I saw them. 2 mint condition, unassembled Burger King crowns just sitting on the top of the trash can. I tossed them at my brother and his friend and said, "Here, as punishment for your whining, y'all have to wear these things for the rest of the ride to the beach." They objected. They called them trash helmets. I insisted they put them on. We started driving to Santa Monica with them wearing their trash helmets. So, it turns out that there's a game associated with a Burger King crown. If you're in a room and you're the one wearing the crown, everyone else in the room is your royal Burger King subject. If you are outside the car, everyone within a 20-foot radius is your Burger King subject. My brother and his friend had a good time putting on the crowns and royally waving at people. We were driving down Sunset Boulevard and we were at a stoplight when my gearhead brother caught sight of a Bentley that was coming up behind us. Whoa, that's not just a Bentley. That's a really expensive Bentley. Maybe they'll pull up next to us and we can see who's in that thing. Sure enough, the Bentley pulled up next to our car and it was Ozzy Osbourne sitting right there in the passenger seat. Quick, put on your trash helmet. I rolled down the window as my brother scrambled to put his Burger King crown on. Ozzy looked over at our car. Just then, my brother royally waved to him. Elbow, wrist, touch the pearls, blow a kiss. Ozzy considered what he was seeing, wrote it off as a bad acid flashback, and turned forward again. So that's how Ozzy Osbourne was my brother's Burger King subject for a few glorious moments back in 2006. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Thanks for making our day that day, and thanks for your music. I feel like that's a really wholesome story. Ozzy Osbourne definitely thought that was an acid flashback, but yeah, wholesome story. That's pretty good. All right, the next story is from r/stories from user external start 5130. My boss said I had to work late, so I forwarded his emails to HR. If you only read the title, I might seem like a petty employee, but trust me, this was long overdue. I've worked at my company for 2 years. My boss, Mike, had a habit of dumping extra work on me at the last minute. Always after hours, always urgent. At first, I thought it was normal, but then I noticed a pattern. My coworkers never got these late night emails, just me. One night, he told me I had to stay late to finish a report he conveniently forgot to assign earlier. I had plans. I pushed back. He got weirdly aggressive, hinting that my dedication would affect my future here. That's when I started digging. I searched my inbox and found months of these urgent emails. Most weren't even necessary. Some even contradicted deadlines he had given others. Then I remembered something. HR had mentioned during my onboarding that all emails were backed up on the company server. So I did what any overworked employee would do. I forwarded everything to HR with a polite inquiry. Hey, I just wanted some clarification. I seem to be receiving significantly more after-hours requests than my peers. Is this standard practice? I didn't hear anything for a week. Then, out of nowhere, Mike called me into his office. He looked pale. HR had flagged the pattern, compared workloads, and found a lot more than just unfair treatment. Turns out, Mike had been diverting work from his own responsibilities onto me while claiming credit for my results. A week later, an all-company email announced that Mike was moving on to new opportunities. I left at 5 p.m. sharp that day. Yeah, you really got to watch your back in the corporate world. That's insane that this even happened, but it seemed like it was pretty easy to get away with for the longest time. The next story is from r/stories from user Wisteria Bow. I helped a woman pick out a dress at Ann Taylor. Months later, she found me again. A few months back, I was waiting outside the fitting rooms at Ann Taylor while my daughter tried on clothes. A woman stepped out, clearly discouraged. She had tried on a ton of things and still hadn't found anything for what she said was her husband's company's Christmas party. She glanced at me, lanyard around my neck, pen behind my ear, rookie mistake, and asked, "Can you help me find something that actually works?" I didn't have the heart to tell her I didn't work there, so I just smiled and said, "Let's do it." We spent about 20 minutes picking through racks. She was kind, funny, and I could tell she really wanted to feel good in her own skin again. Eventually, we found a dress that lit her up. She looked absolutely radiant. As she beamed at herself in the mirror, she asked, "How long have you worked here?" I laughed and told her the truth. "Oh, I don't work here. I'm just waiting on my daughter." We both cracked up. She gave me the biggest hug and said it was the most fun she had had shopping in ages. I figured that was the end of it, until last week. I was grabbing coffee at a local bakery when someone tapped me on the shoulder. It was her. She recognized me right away and said, "You helped me find that dress. I've been hoping to run into you again." I wanted to say thank you properly. We sat down for coffee and ended up talking for nearly an hour. Turns out she wore the dress, felt amazing, had the best night in a long time, and it sparked her to start putting herself out there again in all sorts of ways. She's now volunteering at a local women's group and just glowing with confidence. Funny how a small moment between strangers can ripple you in ways you never expected. I'm so glad our paths crossed again. Some people really do stay with you. The next story is also from r/stories from user Tiny Plum Cake. My parents own a multi-million-dollar waste company, and I've been working as the lowest guy on the crew without telling anyone who I am. I'm 22, just graduated from college a few months ago. While my classmates were polishing resumes and stressing over our interviews, my parents sat me down and made it clear. I wouldn't be job hunting, I'd be working for them. They run a massive waste management company like citywide contracts, fleet of trucks, recycling centers, the whole deal. It's their legacy, and they want me to take over someday. But they also made it clear I wouldn't be jumping into some cushy office role with a fancy title. If I was going to lead the company, I had to understand it from the ground up. Fair enough, I actually respected that. So I started at the very bottom. One day I was on a truck hauling trash bins in the rain. The next I was elbow deep in recyclables at the sorting center. I never told anyone who I was. I wore the same uniform, followed the same schedule, and showed up like every other new guy. I wanted real experience, no special treatment, no shortcuts. At first, it was fine, humbling even. I started to respect the people who do this every day in ways I couldn't before. They're tough, they work hard, but after a while, the vibe started to shift. I was doing more and more of the grunt work, while others kicked back. I was told to straighten out the bins, clean up after others, do the new guy stuff constantly. I didn't complain. I kept my head down. I figured it was part of paying dues. But then came the day that broke me. It was raining hard and we were really short-staffed. I barely slept the night before, showed up exhausted, and got drenched within the first hour. My clothes were soaked. I was cold and running on fumes. Still, I pushed through most of the shift until one of the senior guys, Ron, decided he was done. He dumped the rest of his tasks on me and said, "You're the new guy. You handle it. I gotta leave early." I snapped. Politely but firmly, I told him no, I wasn't going to do his work. I was done letting people pile on just because they outranked me. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Then, with a smirk, he said, "Careful. Management might not like it if I start talking about your attitude." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Then let's go to management right now." He blinked, didn't say another word, just walked off. That was the first time I've ever stood up for myself like that at work. I didn't play the "I'm the owner's son" card. I still haven't, but I'm starting to realize being the boss's kid doesn't mean I have to accept being walked over to prove I'm humble. I'm here to learn, not to be everyone's personal doormat. It's another one, you can't let people walk on you, even if he wasn't the boss's son. Like if that dude told me, "Listen, dude, you gotta do my work. I'm leaving early." I would have told him right where to shove it. Like, not a chance, bro. I'm leaving here as soon as my stuff's done so I can go home and, watch some Netflix or something, because that's crazy. So this next one, I saw the title and I couldn't not click on it. It's from r/stories from user Distinct Yak. My husband has been secretly role-playing as a cat online for 3 years. Should I divorce or become his rival? Yeah, 100% become his rival. Be a better cat than he could ever be. I, 27 female, just found out my husband, 30 male, has been pretending to be a cat online for 3 years, and I don't know what to do. Okay, so I'm literally shaking while typing this. My husband and I have been married for 5 years, together for 7. He's always been kind of quirky, like he talks to our cat in full sentences, but I thought it was just cute or whatever. Last night, I was using his laptop because mine died. I noticed his Reddit was still logged in. I know. I shouldn't have snooped, but something in me told me to look. Y'all, this grown man, has been running a whole cat roleplay account for 3 years. He writes in first person, as a cat, like, human forgot to feed me today. Vengeance will be swift. Time to knock glass from high place. But that's not even the worst part. He's popular. Like, top posts, awards, thousands of followers. People genuinely think he's a cat. He has internet friends that think they're talking to some sassy British shorthair named Mr. Whiskers. He gets into fights with other cat accounts about territory and kibble brands. I went into the rabbit hole, and this man has a full-fledged cat nemesis named Sir Pounce-a-Lot. They have beef. There's literal fan fiction of their rivalry in the comments. When I confronted him, he just sighed and went, "You weren't supposed to find out like this." Like, find out what? Sir, that I'm married Warrior Cat's fanfic roleplay Tumblr in human form? I don't know what to do. He's the love of my life, but I can't look at him without imagining him typing out, "Meow, the humans have displeased me once again." Do I divorce him? Do I make an account and become his rival? How do I move forward from this? All right, now that we got that story out of the way, let's go look for, something else. Okay, here's a nonfiction from r/stories. I, 32 male, am divorcing my wife, 33 female, after finding out that my son, 5, is not mine. Well, a couple weeks ago, I found out that my wife cheated on me 6 years ago. The way I found out is that her sister told me after going to visit her to find out how the delivery of her first child was. She confessed to me that 6 years ago, my wife told her that she slept drunk with her best friend. In her words, my wife was very sorry. At the time, she told me I was with my son, and immediately after leaving her house, I went to take a paternity test with him, fearing the worst. A week later, I get the results, and my fears came true. My son is not mine. For some reason, I began to see the boy differently, more as an acquaintance than a son. With proofs in hand, I confronted my wife at night when the child was sleeping. She asked me who told me, and I simply told her that it's none of her business. Although, obviously, it will not take long to connect the dots that it was her sister. Well, that's not my problem now. Regardless of that, I asked her for a divorce, which is now in process. She was devastated. She swore to me more than once that nothing happened with anyone again, that she has been faithful to me in my body and soul since then. I held back the urge to insult her to avoid complications during the divorce issue, not believing a word she said, mostly blaming the alcohol instead of taking the blame herself. After talking about it, she threatened me, saying she would demand full custody of the child. I was so annoyed at the moment that I told her, okay, I don't want anything to do with something that's not mine, that she'll keep the child and I'll keep the dogs. We have 2 dogs that we adopted as puppies, and they are currently 8 years old each. After my words, she tried to convince me to take care of the child with her, that I am his father. At that moment, I exploded. I was so angry, and I had held back so much the urge to scream that I just yelled her to go and take her bastard with her. A week has passed since that, and I am at home. It's in my name because it's a gift from my parents. She went to her parents' house with her kid. She has not called me since then. She left with everything and the half-asleep kid when I yelled at her, especially since it was the first time I really yelled at her. It sure affected her. I talked to my parents, and my dad told me that I did the right thing and that I shouldn't be raising something that is not of my blood, and I agree with him. However, the pain is still there. My younger brother told me to write here to entertain myself. I'm currently seeing a therapist 3 times a week who told me that I have already taken the first step, which was to leave behind what causes me pain. It just hurts to know that my family no longer exists.
regarding why my sister-in-law told me everything, according to her, she felt guilty seeing me always happy with my son, knowing that he may not be mine, and the fact that we went to visit her in a moment of weakness caused her to completely break down with guilt. I don't know how true that is. I just know that right now I feel tremendous hatred for my wife and feeling between pain and resentment for the child. Although, it's just time to get ahead. I just hope the divorce goes smoothly. We have separate financiers and properties, and if she really asks for child support, I have proof that it's not mine. According to my lawyer, that's more than enough if she tries a legal process for that. My therapist also recommended that I not see him nor her, that regardless of the child's feelings, I should focus on my own first, that the child is no longer my problem, and the sooner I accept it, the better. Yeah, it's pretty wild, that she went behind his back like that for that much time. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with, him just being like, okay, you're not my kid, I'm out of here. But anyways,
I guess you can never really tell with Reddit, but this next one sounds like it could be pretty wholesome. It's from r/stories from Fortnite Fishy Man. What a name. It's titled, The Day I Found Out My Dog Had a Secret Life.
So about 2 years ago, I adopted this golden retriever named Milo. Sweetest dog ever, loves everyone, typical golden energy, tail wagging so hard it could knock over a lamp. We live in a quiet neighborhood where a lot of people leave their gates open, and Milo has always been good about staying close to home. I trusted him enough to let him hang out in the front yard, sometimes when I worked inside with the window open. One afternoon, I realized it had been a little too quiet for a while. I went outside to call him, and he wasn't there. Full panic mode activated, I grabbed his leash and started running up and down the street yelling his name like a crazy person. About 3 houses down, I saw something that made me stop dead in my tracks. Milo was sitting on someone else's porch. And not just sitting, he was lounging like he owned the place. Head up, tongue out, happy as could be. And next to him, an older woman in a rocking chair, feeding him pieces of chicken from a plate. I was like, Milo? The woman looked up and smiled and said, "Oh, you must be Milo's other family." Other family? Turns out for months, Milo had been slipping away whenever I wasn't looking and visiting this woman, Mrs. Patterson. She lived alone, her kids were grown, and apparently, Milo had just decided to adopt her. He'd show up every couple of days, sit politely on her porch, and she'd reward him with chicken, scraps, and the occasional bacon strip. We both laughed about it, and I apologized 1,000 times for him intruding, but she waved it off and said he was good company. After that, we kind of made it official. Milo had 2 homes. I started bringing Miss Patterson groceries once a week, and Milo got to have his second grandma. He still splits his time with us. And honestly, I think he had the right idea.
Okay, so that did end up being wholesome. I like that one. It was good. Next up is from Am I the Asshole by user NumbersGame2022. Am I the asshole for exposing a local beloved pet sitter that wasn't showing up even when she said she was?
I used to have a pet sitter that came highly recommended starting back in 2021. At first, she was fantastic. She would send pics of my fur babies every time she came, was reliable, and always helped me out in a pinch. Starting in 2023, I noticed she wasn't sending pics every time she was supposed to be at the house. This made me a bit suspicious, but the fur babies were happy, there was food and water for them, so I chalked it up to the fact that I've been using her for a while and we had built trust. Fast forward to November of 2024. I had to abruptly leave the country because my daughter was studying overseas and had a very serious medical emergency. My husband happened to be out of town for work at the same time, so I hired her to take care of our 2 cats for a few days. When my husband got home, there was poop all up our stairs, by the front door, and down the hallway. He said it was an absolute mess and the whole house stunk. If the sitter was actually coming, there was no way she wouldn't have been able to see it. My cats never pooped outside of the litter box, so this was highly unusual. I didn't confront the person, I just paid her, figured it was a one-off, but I would never hire her again. And again, I was dealing with my daughter's medical condition in a hospital in a foreign country that English isn't their primary language. Along with me dealing with breast cancer for 15 months, the cats were fine and I had bigger fish to fry at that point. Fast forward to this past weekend. Someone posted on a community Facebook page about a pet sitter. Didn't name names, but had the exact same experience as me. So I DM'd the OP, asked her if it was so-and-so. She said that is exactly who it is and mentioned that quite a few others messaging her asking who it was, and then saying they had the same experience with her. On top of having poop in the house, the OP said this person did not show up on the cameras, so she confronted the pet sitter. The pet sitter denied it all, became defensive, started gaslighting the OP, and eventually blocked her on Facebook. On top of having poop in the house, the OP said this person did not show up on the cameras, so she confronted the pet sitter. The pet sitter denied it all, became defensive, started gaslighting the OP, and eventually blocked her on Facebook. This wasn't a one-off like I had initially thought, and felt this couldn't keep happening. This is neglectful, fraudulent, and abusive. So I commented on the post that if anyone wants to know who this sitter is, to DM, and I will let them know the name. One person in particular reached out to me. She hired this pet sitter to care for her elderly cat. The sitter was to give her cat 2 shots a day. Again, the sitter didn't show up on her cameras, but only for 2 out of 5 days. And then when they got home, the cat was sick. They had to rush it to the vet, and unfortunately the cat had to be euthanized. Now, I'm even more mad. Not only because of that story, but I had probably 10 others come forward with similar stories as mine. On Monday, I decided to make a post on the community page naming names. And again, more people came forward. Some remained anonymous because fear of retaliation. I decided to post a review on her business Facebook page and encourage others to do so. And of course, by this point, word got around that I was exposing her. She posted on her page that she didn't even know me and only watched my dog once. So I posted receipts. She took them down. She messaged me privately saying that I'm ruining her good reputation and causing her to lose her business, and that I'm defaming her, bullying her, and that if I don't take my review down, she'll have no other choice but to call her lawyer. I told her this is my truth of what happened, and that if she can provide pictures of the pets for each and every time she was hired to watch them, that I would gladly remove my review, post a public apology, and even put a sign on my lawn advertising for her. All she has to do is post receipts. So far, that has not been done. In all of this, it has come to my attention that her longtime partner is in jail. So it's been a tough year, and I'm sure she is suffering from some mental health issues, which make me feel bad. So, am I the ass for exposing her so publicly? I mean, it kind of seems like, I get if you're having mental health issues, but also, don't let pets suffer for it. Next one is also from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for convincing kids that I'm a real fairy? That's something I would do for sure. So I, 22, am a camp counselor for an aftercare extended camp. Runs until 6 p.m. for parents who can't pick up their kids when the camp ends at 3. So the camp itself is a combination of all the camps at my park district, so it's K through 8th. I dye my hair bright pink, and when it was freshly dyed, I ended up convincing a younger kid that I was born with pink hair. Dude, that's just lying. It was just a little bit that I do. So some kids believe me, some don't. Well, this kid believed me, and her mom even played into it when she came to pick her up. A few weeks later, the same girl asked why I was born with pink hair. I told her it's because I'm a flower fairy. Right away, her and the other kids at our table light up, so I play into it. They asked me if I'm going to turn anyone into frogs, so I assured them that I promised my boss not to use my powers at camp. I also made up the excuse that I can't show my wings because they're hidden under my shirt, and I can't alter my uniform. I'm not making up some crazy lie, I'm just coming up with excuses to keep the magic. Honestly, I'm just doing what those birthday princesses do. Yeah, but you're a camp counselor. I mean, I get it, if they're little kids, make it magical for them. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's a harmless lie. While the campers are having a blast thinking that their counselor is a fairy, my coworker seems a bit displeased. She said I shouldn't be lying to the kids and that I should stop. She's making it seem like I'm the asshole for making up some elaborate lie. She thinks the lying is wrong and that I shouldn't fill the kids' heads with lies like this. In her words, you're at camp, not Disney. I want to keep up the bit because the kids seem to really enjoy it. But if this is making me an asshole, I know I should stop. I don't think this is making you an asshole. I think it's a harmless lie, and the person who's offended by it is a Karen. Okay, this next one's a little bit insane. It's just one of those titles that caught my eye from r/confession. I deliberately inflict physical pain, and then in parentheses, only a little, on people who stand too close to the baggage carousel. As a frequent traveler, my biggest travel frustration is everybody crowding around the baggage carousel. I feel that. That's annoying. I could possibly understand it as selfish people doing selfish people things if there was any benefit to it, but I think the thing I hate the most is that it makes absolutely no sense. It does not even annoy me because of selfish reasons. Heck, sometimes I'll even take a seat somewhere and let my case ride around for a little while until everyone is gone. Still, standing a few meters back would allow everyone to see more of the carousel, and you could simply step forward to retrieve your luggage when you spot it. Unfortunately, this seems to be lost on most. I used to just quietly seethe, but recently I've decided to occasionally give a loud, "Excuse me," and then push through forcefully to remove my bag. And then if the person still insists on standing as close as possible and refuses to make any space for me or others to remove our bags, I make sure to accidentally whack them with my suitcase as I remove it. It's gross and makes me a much worse person, but I am determined to civilize these travelers one baggage reclaim at a time. Listen, I get the excuse me, I want to get my bag type deal. Because there's no point in crowding a baggage carousel because, people are, if you don't see your bag's just not there yet. Like, they haven't removed it. If you don't see it, back up, let other people walk up and check for their bag. But the world is not actually this civilized, not even close. So, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. This person's just much more of a savage than I am. Okay, this next one's from r/stories. It seems pretty wholesome. I got a random wrong number text at 1 a.m. I answered. A year later, I was in their wedding. A little over a year ago, I got a text at 1:04 a.m. Is the green one better or the gold one? Please answer fast. No name, no context, just that I was half asleep, but something about it made me laugh. I replied, green. Always go with the green one. 2 minutes later, okay, thank you. I'm freaking out. I think I love him, and I don't know if this is a date. It's like a maybe date. I didn't have the heart to say wrong number, so I just said, then wear the green. Look good, feel better, and maybe date the hell out of it. She texted back, you're literally a stranger, but I love you. Thank you, with a green heart. And that was it, or so I thought, because a week later, she texted again. Green was the right call. It was a date. His name's Eli. He smelled like cedar and stress. And I, some random dude who never said she had the wrong number, texted back, and we just kept texting. Every few days, then every day, for months. She never asked who I was. I never told her. It became this anonymous thread of support. When things went well, she'd send me updates. Like, when things went badly, I'd hype her up like I was her invisible best friend in the walls. Eventually, she named me Text Goblin. Then, one night in November, she sent this. Okay, Goblin, I told him I love him, and he said it back. I'm so scared. I feel like my heart is too big and soft for this world. I texted something back dumb like, he's lucky to have you, and green was still the right choice. Then I didn't hear from her for 2 months. I thought it was all over until January. I found out who you are. I froze. You used your real Spotify once. That's how I found your playlist, then your profile. My heart dropped. I'm not mad. I actually have a question. Will you come to my wedding as my text goblin? And that's how I ended up flying to Arizona last month, standing in a room full of strangers, watching a woman I've never met walk down the aisle wearing a green ribbon in her hair, and winking at me from across the crowd. We hugged after. She whispered, "Thank you for picking green." And I said, "It was always green." I do totally apologize because I forgot her real name because I was so mesmerized by the chaotic possible chances in the world. Still saved in my phone as possibly chaos. Life is weird, but sometimes weird is kind. I think that's a real story. I mean, I don't know. I think that's nonfiction. That was a pretty good one. I like that. Here's another one from r/stories. It's called I Accidentally Eavesdropped on a First Date That Felt Like Watching a Dreamer Trying to Spark Life into a Brick Wall. Let me know in the comments if you've been there before. That's a tough situation to be in. I was at a restaurant just outside Boston, mid-range, nothing fancy, but nice enough for a date. I was early, my friend running late. So I had about 20 minutes of solo time at my table. Next to me in the same booth, but technically a separate table, sat a young couple who looked to be in their mid-20s. They arrived a minute after I did. Across from me and to my left sat a man. Heavy-set, pale, with a bright red beard and posture of someone either very tired or permanently unimpressed. Across from him, beside me, sat a young woman with expressive eyes, neat makeup, and a polite energy that I could feel even from my seat. It was clearly a first date. She smiled, he grunted. She talked, he sipped a whiskey cocktail. She ordered a wine, asked for it to come with her meal, but they brought it early. She laughed and thanked the server anyway. And then the conversation started. At first, it was small talk, the kind where one person tries to make it work and the other seems to be calculating how long is polite before leaving. I started jotting things down, not with judgment, but curiosity. I do this sometimes when alone in public, like sketching, but with words. A habit from long subway rides and solo lunches. She admitted this was her first app date. He said he'd been on a lot. Silence. She asked him if he wanted to know anything about her. He responded, sure. Like what? This dude is just hoping for free dinner. She tried again, asked about plumbing. He said he was a journeyman, but that there's no difference really. She tried to relate. I went to school for 4 years for my job. I always admire people who just dove into work. He said he had a degree in communications. She blinked. Oh, that's cool. Surprising, but cool. Silence. She confessed she gets nervous on dates and talks too much. Invited him to jump in. He told her, you're fine. She asked if he'd always lived nearby. He said, whole life. She launched into a story she grew up on a houseboat. Her parents studied whales, like George on Seinfeld, but real. She smiled, looking for a connection. He asked if you can eat whales. She paused. No. She asked if he was okay, offered to reschedule if it wasn't a good night. He said, you're fine. She laughed nervously, tried to bridge again. I actually studied physics, minored in music so I wouldn't forget piano. Took a year just to play Never Look Back. He cut in, what kind of money you make doing that? She blinked, sorry? He repeated the question, and she dodged politely. It varies. He nodded, that's what I figured. She asked about Netflix. He studied the menu. She asked if anything looked good. He said, not really, might just ask for a regular burger. She apologized, said she should have checked if he liked seafood. He said, I do, it's just overpriced. She replied, oh, I wasn't expecting you to pay. He grinned, so you're paying? Cool, maybe I'll get something else. She laughed, waiting for him to laugh back, but he didn't. I knew it, this dude's in it for free dinner. I knew it, I called it. Oh, you were joking, right? He stared, what joke? She quietly decided to stick with the wine. He blamed the slow service. She asked about interest. He said, sports. She lit up. Oh, what do you play? He said he used to play in high school. Could have gone pro if I wanted. She asked, what else? She offered a fun one. Desert island book choice? He frowned. Never been to the desert. I don't really travel. She paused, then said, you know, I'm actually feeling off. I think I might have to call it a night. He shrugged. Okay. She stood. I'll go settle this at the bar. He nodded. Okay. She looked down, hesitant, then said, well, have a good night. He waved her off. Yeah, you too. This was chill. I'll text you. She walked out. He stayed, ordered his burger, ate the whole thing. I watched this quiet unraveling of a one-sided effort, a hopeful human trying to connect with a brick wall of indifference, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not because it was tragic or explosive, but because of how common it felt. It's like people aren't just bad at dating these days, they're bad at showing up. Like someone handed them a life and they're just dragging it around, not even curious about the person across the table. Of course, not everyone is like this, but I'm seeing it more especially among young men. They seem so unbothered, unmotivated, and disinterested in the people they're with. Like they're just fulfilling a social quota. Maybe it's burnout, maybe it's loneliness, or maybe some people are just not meant to date. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for listening. I just needed to get this one out of my head. That's hilarious. Can you eat whales? Is crazy. Crazy work. Like that was a genuine question. All right, next one is also from r/stories because they're just serving up bangers today. Ever had an encounter with a celebrity where you made it awkward and cringeworthy? When my daughter was younger, she got into acting. At 10 years old, she had raw talent compared to the innocence of youth. A lot of her strength came from fearlessness and couldn't be embarrassed. I believe that's how she landed a few acting jobs. Not being shy at that age made her stand out. One time, my daughter landed a small part, her first, on a TV show that had been on for a couple of seasons, which featured some notable actors, namely Seth Rogen. I accompanied her all the way to production-related appointments, including costume fittings and being fitted for a prosthetic. I also accompanied her to the sets during production. As I understood it, my role as the parent of a minor was to make sure she was being well taken care of. I made sure to keep an eye on her at all times while staying out of the way of the production people. I didn't want to be the annoying parent and the reason a lot of productions would prefer not to use kids on set. No complaints about the whole experience. They treated her like gold, and myself as well. On the first day of shooting, we went to hair and makeup, then waited for her to be called on set. When I say this kid had no fear, when called, she walked onto the set with some notable actors, Seth Rogen included, and about 50 production crew and extras. She was the focus of the scene, and she pulled it off beautifully, listened to direction, and applied it. I was blown away with how professional she was on that set, considering she was 10 years old and it was her first time. It would be hard to find a moment where I've been more proud. The next day at the shoot, we showed up again to the hair and makeup trailer. Shortly after we got there, Seth Rogen pops in to get done up for the scenes. He's really friendly, greets everyone. He introduced himself and shook my daughter's hand. Then he turned to me. I shook his hand and said, "I guess I've been replaced as her father." Ouch. I had meant that to be clever. I definitely felt it was cringeworthy. Seth did a little of his distinct laugh, and we all moved on. I'm thinking of that moment many years later. The whole production was a great experience for my daughter. She has since quit acting to focus on school, but I know those are memories she will cherish, and as will I, since it was an amazing time together. If anyone was wondering, Seth Rogen is a hard-working professional. He flew in to film his scenes over a week in between other projects. He produced and acted in the project. My impression of him is nothing but a positive role model for my daughter in the entertainment industry. He's probably human like the rest of us with quirks and flaws. Thankfully, I'm sure Seth Rogen has easily forgotten about our interaction. Okay, next story is from r/coworker stories. My coworker stole my promotion using the presentation I helped them build. This makes me sad every time I think about it. I work in marketing at a mid-sized company. I've been gunning for a senior strategist role for over a year. My manager told me I was on track. All I needed was one strong campaign pitch to seal the deal. Enter Marissa. We got hired around the same time, but we were in different departments until recently. She transferred over to marketing a few months back, and honestly, I liked her. Friendly, funny, always asked me to lunch. We even joked that if either of us got promoted first, the other one would ride the coattails. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. My boss announces a surprise pitch competition for the open strategist role. 3 of us competing. I'm nervous, but I've been prepping for this. Marissa, though, looks panicked. So she comes to me after hours, says she doesn't understand the brief, feels lost, might tank her shot. I help her, a lot, like I literally walked her through the deck structure, gave her stats to back up her angle, even helped her rehearse once. The day comes. Marissa goes first, and my stomach drops because she presents my exact framework. Like, same structure, same insights, even the damn joke I'd written into my slides for my closer. It's like watching myself in a Black Mirror episode. My turn comes, and I try to pivot, tweak things to not look like a copycat, but it's too late. I look like I recycled her pitch. She gets the promotion. I confronted her privately. She said, "You didn't have it copyrighted, did you?" and walked off. I reported it to my manager, but there's no proof. Everything was informal, no emails, no shared files, just 2 coworkers talking. Now she's literally sitting in the office that was supposed to be mine, and the worst part, she still smiles at me like nothing happened. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree kind of with the first comment here. Seems like you shouldn't have helped her in something you were competing with her on. Also, I feel like she didn't have to completely copy her pitch. Like, she was trying to be helpful. And then, she took big advantage of that. In my opinion, karma's going to come back to get her. Like, she's going to lose her job over something stupid, and then maybe this girl will end up getting the job.
Anyways, that's all the Minecraft and Reddit stories I have for you today. If you like the non-scary stories, let me know what you think. I might end up doing these more because I did enjoy reading them. If you liked the video, drop a like and subscribe. If you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. Thanks for watching.